Welcome to everyone that is joining today's live tutorial. My name is Rose. I'm on our product marketing team here at AHA, and I'm excited that you're all here to join us for today's tutorial on how to launch an ideas portal for your customers. And we'd actually be really curious to know what your experience is with ideas portals. So I am going to launch a poll here. Let us know if you already have an ideas portal that you're maybe using internally now for your employees to collect feedback. Maybe you already have one you're using for your customers and you're here to learn more best practices for how to manage that. Maybe you're doing both internal and external ideas gathering, which is awesome. Or maybe you don't have an ideas portal yet and you're here to learn. If you're doing something else, we'd love to know what that is too in the Q&A. Okay, great. We're getting a quorum of responses here. So take the poll if you haven't had a chance yet, and I'm going to share the results with you all now so you can see. Great. Okay. So let's take a look at these results. It looks like a bunch of you, almost half of you, are already using an ideas portal internally, which we love to see. Some of you are doing both, some externally, and a few of you are not using an ideas portal yet. So perfect place for you all to be here with us to learn more. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce you to our two highly experienced presenters today, my colleagues Kelly Seeves and Riley O'Connor. Kelly is a principal product manager here at AHA, where she oversees our AHA Ideas product. And Kelly has really a wealth of industry knowledge in the idea management space and has built many of the features you all know and love, from dynamic forms to AI exploration, and of course, regular improvements to the ideas portal itself. And Riley is a group manager on our product concierge team, the product experts that support our largest customers. So some of you may have had the pleasure of working with Riley or learning from her in past tutorials. Riley also represents the voice of our customers for our AHA Ideas product, so she has a great grasp of your challenges and use cases, and will be sharing how to solve for them today. So go ahead and take it away, Kelly and Riley.
Thanks, Rose. It's great to see all of you here today. Like Rose said, I'm on the product team at AHA, and like most of you, I am passionate about my customers and solving their problems. As a PM, you want to be the expert at what your customers need. And that's why I think it's so important to give customers a dedicated place where they can share their feedback with you directly. So I'm excited we get to talk about ideas portals today. They really are that bedrock of gathering the direct customer feedback. It's really possible to do this well without overwhelming your team too, from building your portal to launching it to your customers and then managing those ideas. You know, for you that might be new to AHA Ideas, let's just quickly review how it works. There are two main components to AHA Ideas. First is an ideas portal that your customers see. Ideas portals are a dedicated website where you can create a delightful experience for your customers to share feedback, from submitting ideas to voting and commenting on others' ideas. And then you can add unlimited portal users. So you can make as big a community as you would like visiting your portal and sharing feedback with you. The second part is what we can call the back end of AHA Ideas, where you as the PM go to review, analyze, and then prioritize those ideas. And when you prioritize and ship those ideas, automatic updates go out to your customers in the portal, helping you close that feedback loop. And of course, we'll show you both sides of that experience today. I know from my own conversations with all of you that it can be daunting to start gathering feedback directly from your customers. So I would love to hear, what are some of the barriers or concerns you've faced when it comes to making a portal available for your customers directly? We're going to launch another poll here and see what you guys think. Some things I've heard, just people afraid of getting negative feedback, being concerned they don't have enough people or time to manage the feedback coming in. Also, sometimes there's privacy concerns and people seeing each other's feedback depending on your industry, things like that. Or maybe there's just not, the buy-in across your company to get this kind of direct customer feedback. All right, there's the results. Thank you, everybody. Looks like we got a lot of responses there. So yeah, not too surprising. The main concern is really just lack of time and people to manage that feedback. So we're definitely going to touch on a lot of that today as well. Awesome. Thank you for participating in that. So, of course, at AHA, we use an ideas portal ourselves, and I bet a lot of you have engaged with that to help get feedback from you. We're really lucky here to support product people as our customers who naturally have a lot of great product ideas. But that also means a high velocity of ideas. So we need the systems in place to help manage it and goals to make sure that we stay as responsive as possible to our customers. It's definitely not a set it and forget it kind of situation. So we've built tools that we use ourselves to help make that management more efficient, like automatic status updates and having clear status workflows as well. So now Riley's going to walk you through how all this works inside of AHA, and I'll be back occasionally with some best practices that our own PMs use.
Yes, thank you so much. Great to see everyone today, and I'm so happy to have Kelly as my co-pilot today to share with you that like real lived PM perspective that we've worked through managing ideas for AHA. But of course, I'm going to do some more digging into how to configure ideas portals, what decisions to think about as you deliver an ideas portal to your customers. And there's really three main components that we're going to work through today. We're going to talk about how to build a branded ideas portal, then how to launch it to your community, and then how to manage those ideas efficiently, which I will say I am not surprised to see that as a really popular topic from you all today, because I know from working with some of our customers that, especially when we're talking about a large volume of feedback, that need becomes really, really important because it's critical for building trust with your customers and the audiences that are submitting feedback to you. They need to be confident that those ideas are going to be addressed efficiently, and they need to know what those next steps look like. So we're going to talk about all the underlying functionality and all the best practices you can leverage to manage this process successfully. So again, I'm going to walk through this in a demo environment today that has AHA roadmaps with Ideas Advanced. So those of you all who have AHA roadmaps with Ideas Essentials today, that covers crowdsourcing feedback within Ideas Portal. As Kelly mentioned, unlimited portals, unlimited portal users. You can also add on Ideas Advanced if you're looking for more complex functionality. So features like dynamic forms and portal pages that are intended to help make that portal user experience really delightful, as well as AI exploration and automation rules for efficiently managing that feedback. But just know that if you're working from Ideas Essentials today, that's perfect. You have everything that you need to get started with this process and all of these steps that we'll work through today. So we will go ahead and get started and talk about how we built our own branded ideas portal at AHA for you, our customers. So Kelly's going to kick us off by telling us a little bit more about that process from our side.
Awesome. Thanks, Riley. So first, we chose to have a public ideas portal, and that works really well for AHA for a few reasons. So we're aligned on transparency with each other and with our customers, and we have a very active community of portal users. Second, we each chose to keep it really simple. So we have simple branding that really matches our overall brand on our website, and we have simple product categories to choose from as well. And we keep the idea submission form short and use a template to help get those details that we need. When you approach building your own portal, there's a few key areas we want to cover. One, considering what is the best type of portal for your customers and your company. What customization options do you need to make it feel like a natural extension of your brand? And then how do you want the idea submission form to work? So it's really efficient for your users and so that you get the key details that you need as well. You can definitely build a very simple portal, just a few clicks, just choose your portal type, add your logo and brand color, and you are off to the races. It's really easy to make it look just the way you want for your brand, and it's quick to customize that idea submission form as well. So we want to help you choose the best options for your end user. So Riley's going to show you, several of our most common use cases for the customer portals that we see, and she's going to highlight the settings that you'll want to use for your portals as well. Over to you, Riley.
Yes, thank you. That's one of my favorite things about working with idea portals is how quick and efficient they are to set up. But there's a few key decisions you're going to want to make in that process. So that's what we're going to talk through first. So like I mentioned, I'm going to work from this demo environment today. I'm going to serve as the product manager for Fredwin Cycling, which is a fictitious cycling tracking application. So I'm here in my ideas overview page. And you can see that we've got ideas coming into this workspace. And in the upper right, you can see we have two different idea portals that are connected to this workspace. One of them is public for collecting feedback from customers, and the other is private for collecting feedback internally. Now, those portals kind of look similar on the face, but the differences are in the back end. So we're going to drill in and talk a bit more about those options and when they're the appropriate path to use. So first option is a public portal. This is how we have the AHA Ideas portal set up, as Kelly mentioned, and this means that access is open to anyone. So anyone who has the URL can go there and submit an idea and see other ideas. And users can just quickly, choose the option to enter an idea. They'll be prompted for an email address at that point, which registers them as a portal user. If you know you have contacts that you already, you want to bring them into the portal, you can also invite them, which will send them an email template. You can manage that from within the settings as well, or import users to your portal if you already have them in an existing system. Now, the reason why we still ask the user for an email address and we do ask them to register, even though the portal is open to everybody, is because that's what subscribes them and allows us to send them automatic email notifications as updates are made to that idea, which you'll see many examples today of where that becomes really important. So let's contrast this against the private portal option. So private portal settings, when you have that option selected, the portal is not available publicly, but you can choose which users should be able to self-register to the portal. So there's a few different ways you can manage that. You can add a list of employee email domains and say, hey, these folks work for my company, they should be allowed to register in the portal. Or you can configure single sign-on with your identity provider. That's a really nice option because it makes it really easy to seamlessly capture ideas without requiring your users to remember an additional set of credentials, which none of us need. And I just want to point out here too that even though we're thinking private, it doesn't necessarily have to be internal. We work with lots of customers who use this private portal option for all different types of use cases, internal stakeholders or customer facing, especially when the customer audience that we're working with is pretty contained. And you may want to have ideas that only those users can see, maybe for proprietary reasons. Now, I'll also note that the other big use case for a private portal is if you want to integrate with Salesforce, which is available on the Ideas Advanced plan. So that allows your sales and customer-facing teams working in Salesforce to create and vote on ideas directly from that platform, and also bring in customer and revenue information, kind of marry that CRM data up with your roadmap. So think things like seeing the total opportunity value of an idea based on what your sales teams are tracking in Salesforce, or being able to see additional details about key customers who voted for an idea. So that's another really common use case where this private portal option becomes really critical. Now, another important piece that we want to think about when you're starting to make this available to a broader audience is idea visibility. So we have default idea visibility settings you can see here that are based on the type of portal user. So again, we've been pretty granular with these settings because it's really important that you all are able to tailor this to what makes the most sense for your use case. So here, for example, we're saying, great, if it's a portal user, a customer that submitted in an idea, go ahead and make it visible to everyone right off the bat. But if it came from an employee, they have a different lens, a different perspective. Let's keep it visible only to our employees first until we get a chance to review it, and then maybe we can choose to make it visible to everyone after the fact. So you can also adjust the visibility of individual ideas as needed, but these defaults will kind of put things in the right place for getting started. Now, a next fun part is customizing your portal's look and feel. So as Kelly alluded to, we think it's really important to ensure that the portal is an extension of your brand and matches that visual identity that you use other places. So here we can set your color and your logo. Also use custom CSS if you want to customize the look and feel even further. Another important email, again, I think especially when we're talking customer facing, is customizing the email templates. So there are a number of touch points in the user flow where we will send an automatic email to the portal user. And you can also customize these templates here so that it really aligns with your voice and how you like to talk to your customers. Now, one other important decision that we think is really critical, and you heard this from Kelly too, it needs to be easy for your customers to submit ideas. And a lot of that comes down to the layout. So what information are we asking your stakeholders to provide when they're submitting an idea? Again, we want that to be really straightforward for them, but at the same time, we want to balance that against making sure that you have all the information you need to move the idea efficiently through your process. So when we look into setting a layout here, again, we want to keep this as simple as possible. You can see that we're only asking a few questions in this particular layout, but we're also using a dynamic form here to streamline this even further. So dynamic forms, part of Ideas Advanced, allow you to customize follow-up questions based on inputs that you're receiving. So that means you can ask specific follow-up questions that are targeted to the user's needs and skip questions that aren't relevant to them. Just tightens up that flow even more and make sure that you all get the details that you need. You can see that in this particular case, we're basing these follow-up questions off of categories. Now, categories are set by you all in your workspace settings, and these are a really important kind of set of values to establish. You know your product, you know what areas you get feedback around or what themes are important. So defining these categories makes it really easy for you to kind of manage ideas by those particular areas. And it also drives navigation within the portal itself. So here in my Fredwin Cycling portal, you can see on the left-hand side, I have the option to filter by those categories. That makes it really easy for users to browse through what's important to them. And you can also add a custom field filter to your portal that's available to everybody to make it even easier for customers to find the exact set of ideas that they're looking for. Now, another important piece as we start thinking about transitioning from building this portal to launching it to your customers is when you're making it available right off the bat, we don't want it to be empty. So if you have existing ideas, ones that you can drum up internally that your team's aware of, ones that you want to maybe import from an existing system, which you can do through a CSV upload, that's really awesome to have some ideas that are here. Your users can start voting right away and start driving engagement quickly there. So before we move on to the next steps to launch your portal to the community, there's one other important decision that I want to touch on because, again, working with lots of teams, I know how important this decision is, which is how you want to architect your workspaces and your portals to create the best experience for your users and your internal teams. So it's important to remember that ideas do not belong to a portal. They belong to a workspace. They're ideas around my Fredwin Cycling product. And so this is a case where I have multiple ideas portals connected to my single workspace, which allows me to tailor the portal to each specific use case. But some other common setups there, you might want a unique portal per workspace, especially if your customers are quite segmented by product. So if they only use one product in your portfolio, they're only ever going to want to submit ideas around one product. That's usually a good indicator that a dedicated portal is a good fit. They can just go to one place, only see ideas that are relevant to them. But another common setup is one ideas portal that's connected to multiple workspaces. And that's a great option if you have customers who use multiple products in your portfolio. That allows them to, submit ideas around any of those products, but it's still a single point of entry. So it's only one portal that you have to direct users to and one place for them to go. There's more best practices on this decision available in our knowledge base as well. Okay, so now that we've built the portal and made some of those important kind of foundational decisions, we want to launch it to our community. So I'm going to pull Kelly back up here to show a little bit more about the process of launching the public ideas portal at AHA and what other advice she has to share for product managers in that process.
Awesome. Yeah, it is an exciting moment when you're ready to launch your portal out to your community. So we do want to share a few change management tips to help prepare your team and your customers for your portal and help get them engaged. So first, it may sound obvious, but the best way to get engagement in your portal is for you to engage in it yourself. So a lot of people want to open a portal because they've heard that feedback goes into a black hole and they want AHA to help solve that problem for them. So, make sure you're prepared to quickly respond to customers. Have a plan for who will respond, when, and how. And when you are engaged with people's ideas in the portal, they'll engage back with you and share more ideas and comments. No part of product management is more important than this part, this engaging with your customers and understanding what they need. At AHA, we've had the luxury of a very engaged community early on. Our portal's been around since almost the beginning of AHA, started over 10 years ago. Centralizing customer feedback has long been an essential part of AHA software, but we still work to keep portal engagement high in a few ways. One, we link to it directly from our website, so it's easy to find. Our customer success team also plays an important role in encouraging ideas portal use. They receive a lot of requests from their interactions with customers, and they encourage them to share their ideas in the portal, vote for existing ideas, and explain their use cases in the comments. This really helps the PM team to understand the different reasons why customers want an idea. We also enabled the weekly portal highlights email to really get people re-engaged in the portal. And we have a resources portal page as well, where we explain how the portal works, what our idea statuses are, and our approach to customer feedback. And finally, the in-app widget is another great way to make the portal idea submission form easily available right where customers are using your product. And Riley's going to dive into a lot of these areas next.
Yes, indeed. Yes, love it so much. So to, again, go into a bit more detail on some of these important areas. Like Kelly said, it almost feels like we don't need to say this out loud because we're talking to a bunch of product people and you would do this anyway, but really important to test your portal internally. So we recommend running an internal proof of concept where you have colleagues start to use it. They can give you feedback on the portal experience and the idea submission form to make sure it's easy and clear, because we just know that those things are going to be so important for your customers getting on board and staying on board with using the portal. From there, we'd also recommend, especially if you're eventually looking at expanding across a large customer base, we'd recommend starting with a small group of pilot customers, maybe ones you're already closely engaged with and have a deep relationship with, to test your portal out and provide their feedback as well. Then, of course, we want to announce it to your community. So again, like we mentioned, you have that option to import portal users and send them an invitation. And we would also recommend really sharing this through any existing channels where you're used to sharing information with your customers. So for example, that might be marketing announcements, your website, blog posts. Again, we want to leverage and use those existing touch points that are already there. And I'll just mention too, I think a point that's really important here is to share the why behind your portal. So what are your broader goals? Why is your company doing this? Why are you asking your customers to go to this place and give you feedback? Maybe that's that you're launching a voice of the customer program. Maybe it's that you simply want to ensure you're delivering the most value for them. But we find that setting up that why behind the portal can also really help to get folks on board. As Kelly mentioned, we would also really recommend educating your sales and support teams on encouraging customer idea submission. That really needs to be established as the path that customers should take to share their feedback. That's what, having everything in that consolidated funnel is the most important kind of benefit, especially for you all managing it on the back end. And so that needs to be the route that is recommended to customers in the vast majority of situations. Now, I showed this briefly. We would also recommend creating an ideas portal guide, which can be posted here in your portal as a custom portal page. And the benefit of this is, like Kelly alluded to, we don't want people feeling like their feedback is going into a black hole. So we would recommend making sure there's clear expectations published and available to them on what happens once an idea gets submitted and what they should expect. We also think it's really important to define your idea statuses for customers. So again, this is our status definition here. If you haven't taken a look at this, I would recommend it because this tells you more information about what a particular status means as far as our product development lifecycle goes. Now, you can use our default statuses or, of course, customize these to fit your workflow. But again, we want to be able to enable your customers to see at a glance where this idea is in your pipeline and not have them then have to also follow up to ask further questions about that. It just makes it, that much easier for them to know right off the bat what that status is referring to. Now, to make this really easy for you, we've also made an ideas portal guide template available. So if you navigate into your knowledge section in your AHA account and go into your documentation area, there's an ideas portal guide template that you can use here. Of course, build upon and customize to your own needs, but this will give you a great starting point for what information is most important to make available to your customers. And lastly, another important piece that Kelly alluded to is engaging your portal users on an ongoing basis. And one of the really important mechanisms that we have available for that is a weekly portal email. So what that allows us to do is go through and be able to send this email on a weekly basis. We can configure that in your emails section for your public portal. And that will send a notification to your users of new ideas that came in that week. They can choose categories or workspaces that are most relevant to them to tailor that content even further. And that will just promote ongoing idea sharing and keep them engaged in the community. So that covers a few best practices. Again, we want to keep in mind when we're launching this portal out initially. But again, we know huge piece here. How do we manage those ideas efficiently once they're received? So again, Kelly's going to hop in and share some best practices for how our product managers at AHA handle ideas review and management.
Yeah, definitely. We know that most concerns from PMs, and we saw this in the poll too, are around what to do with all of those ideas. But really, we want to have that idea management process set up before we even launch our portal. Then once it launches, we can follow along that process that we created and thought through already. The ultimate goal is to apply all those great customer insights that you're collecting to your planning that you're doing. And you don't have to say yes to every idea, right? You want to find those ideas that also align with your business strategy and help you achieve your goals. You don't, have to do anything that you don't think, makes sense for your strategy, right? We think it's possible to say no kindly. You can, update the status. You can explain the reasoning in an admin response as well. But you can also say yes clearly and kindly as well. So we think it's really important to share both sides of that and have that transparency with your customers. Another piece of the process is defining your SLAs for each step. So these are your service level agreements and how quickly you plan to respond. So for example, we review every idea within 2 days. So you might set a goal of, within 1 week of the idea being created. You can support that through assigning ideas or creating to-dos with automation. That's what we do. And we use reports and dashboards with calculations on them to show how long it's been since an idea has been submitted. Even with our high idea volume, it's easily manageable for us, splitting up the idea review across all the PMs on the team for the areas that they focus on.
Yeah, I was just that was just making me think, Kelly, like, yeah, it probably stays manageable. Those things go hand in hand, right? It stays manageable because it's managed on a regular basis and because of the supporting infrastructure to make that process easy. So let's take a look at some of that more specifically inside of AHA. So like Kelly mentioned, we really want to get workflows in place and have these established before you roll out the portal and reporting as well, so that you're ready to go when those ideas start coming in. So you know that the ideas overview is kind of your hub for where you'll see new ideas and can get kind of a summary of portal activity. But we can also leverage reporting to allow you to kind of tailor down the incoming idea set depending on what we specifically need to review. So we can do this really easily from these links from the ideas overview page. So you can see I have this option here to just view a full report of all my new ideas. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And so what we'll do here is we'll pre-populate a report for you, a list report with some of the data points that we know are really important for reviewing ideas right off the bat. So name, status, votes, scoring, who created it, when it was created. And then this report can be, customized further, of course, to tailor it to exactly what you need to see here. So for example, another piece that I'd love to see, let's assume that we have different product managers who are responsible for different parts of the product. And so we want to kind of allocate these ideas to the right people. So I'm going to go ahead and add a data column for that categories field that we established, because that is going to let us see, again, right off the bat, which part of our product or which theme the particular ideas are related to. Great, so now we've pulled our idea categories in here. We can filter this down further. So for example, if I'm the PM responsible for notifications, now I can simply come in and filter this down and have kind of my inbox of ideas that are currently waiting for action from me. Now, another option that we find really streamlines things, and this is available for folks not only who have ideas advanced, but also folks who have Enterprise Plus for your AHA Roadmaps plan, is you can leverage automation rules to automatically assign the ideas to a particular PM based on information in the idea, such as the category. So for example, you can see here, if we're assuming my colleague Chrissy is our product manager for the activity tracking areas of our product, then you can see we've configured this automation rule where every time an idea gets created and its category is set to activity tracking, and then we'll go ahead and assign that idea to Chrissy. And what's really important about this is it's creating a sense of ownership and accountability. There's a specific person who's responsible for reviewing these ideas. Now, depending on your specific use case, it may not always make sense to have it just be one individual, but there's a number of ways that you can leverage these rules to get the right folks involved. And we find, again, that creating that sense of ownership really helps to drive continued engagement and efficiency over time, because it means that we're not having ideas falling through the cracks because it's not clear who's supposed to action them. Now, once the ideas are assigned to the PM, of course, then they have a review, triage, prioritization process that they need to go through. So let's open up a particular idea and highlight a few of those things that PMs are typically going to need to be thinking about. So I'm opening up my idea here to compare different writing patterns across timeframes. Hopefully Chrissy won't mind if we take a look at her idea. So a couple things to call out right off the bat. Of course, we get insight into categories. We could also add other custom fields here for important information that we need to track. We can look at how many votes we've received and who those votes have come from. And we can also start to use this information to score the idea. So this is our default product value scorecard. You can also, of course, go on to configure this to align it with what's most important to your team. But this allows us to start to think quantitatively about how much value this idea represents for our business. So for example, we can start to think about how large is the population that would benefit from this idea. This one's very high. How strong is the need? But we also need to balance that against things like how much effort does it take to implement? And really critically, again, for folks who are working with AHA roadmaps and managing your strategy in the platform as well, we also want to think about how well does this align to the strategy that's been defined for the business. So now our equation is taking in all those inputs and providing us with this score that we can leverage as part of our prioritization process. Now, of course, we also have teams that are looking at additional business and revenue information to help drive prioritization. So this is an example of a case where we're pulling in revenue information from Salesforce. So this is allowing us to understand how much revenue is really represented by the organizations who have voted for this idea. And I just think this is so powerful because this is really putting a lot more definition and more kind of quantitativeness around our sense of priority. And again, allowing us to feel really confident that we're moving forward the ideas that are going to have the most impact on our business. When we think about prioritization, it really could be a whole tutorial of its own. There's so much goodness in this platform that can go into helping you all prioritize ideas efficiently. So the good news is it likely will be a tutorial topic this year. So please, keep an eye out for that. And again, if that's something that you want to learn more about, a comment in the chat would be great too, because it's just really important for us to understand, what's going to be valuable for you all. But we know prioritization is going to be really important. Now, another important piece that comes in with managing ideas efficiently is that, despite our best efforts, sometimes we do get duplicate ideas or ideas that are really related to the same topic. And so we also have the ability to merge ideas. Now, customers who, again, have ideas advanced can also see this list of similar ideas, which can help you to identify where there might be some overlap or some ways where kind of ideas are driving towards the same need or the same use case. And so we do have the ability to merge ideas. You'll find that option up here in your upper right. When you do that, it will merge the ideas into kind of a parent idea that will aggregate all the vote information. The original idea will not be deleted or removed because we still want the submitter to be able to see it and know that their request was received. We don't want it to disappear. However, it will indicate for them in the portal that that idea has been merged into another and provide them a link so they can follow along and see the progress forward from that point. Now, of course, a very important piece here, especially when we're integrated with AHA roadmaps, is kind of the tail end of this pipeline, which is how do we take the ideas that we've decided we want to execute and actually get them further along in that process? How do we actually get them delivered? And so when we're working with AHA roadmaps, that's where we'll use this option in the upper right to promote the idea to a feature or another record type, just depending on the scope. And that is going to create a new record that's now in AHA roadmaps that we can use as part of our planning. So I'm going to go ahead and promote this idea to a feature. Mobile app updates is a great release for this, so let's go ahead and promote that. And what's really critical here is when I do this, not to build up too much suspense about it, but when we promote the idea, you can see that the status has now updated to planned. So that happened automatically when we promoted the idea. And so now that's going to trigger a notification to all the idea subscribers to let them know, hey, this is planned. And again, if you've established in your portal what planned means and what that definition is, great. They can now go ahead and see that moving through the process. Now, it looks like my delivery team was very quick on shipping this idea. So let's talk a little bit about what went on there in the background. So when you promote an idea to a feature, it gets added to a release, visualized on a roadmap, then often integrated over to engineering, whether that's sent to AHA Develop or to an external development system through an integration. So that is what's keeping everything connected from the idea all the way down to delivery. So when the engineering team updates that idea, or excuse me, updates that piece of work in their development system, that updates the corresponding AHA feature, that comes back and updates the idea to indicate that the status is now shipped, which will then trigger a notification out to all your stakeholders. I can't overstate the value of this enough, just the benefit of having this whole pipeline be automated without you all having to manage all of that communication back to the subscribers manually. Now, we would also recommend just another nice touch. Kelly mentioned admin responses. Admin responses are a message that gets displayed in the portal in a persistent way over time. So we would also recommend when you ship an idea, this is a great opportunity to post an admin response and explain it's been shipped, maybe let them know where they can read documentation or how they should start to put it to use, again, so they can start getting value from that new functionality right away. And that message, again, is persistent, which means it will continue to be available in the portal. So as you gain new customers and they come along, they still get to benefit from this information by being able to see that message in the portal. So that's just like the cherry on top, letting them know that it's been delivered and here's how they can start taking advantage of it right away. Now, there's one last piece of functionality that I want to touch on today, and that is, again, related to this, these needs that we hear our customers have around identifying idea themes and also merging similar ideas, kind of making sense of the chaos, so to speak, especially when we're talking about a large volume of ideas. And so one of the additional capabilities that we've recently launched to help manage this process is this AI-based exploration tool. And we're going to run this from scratch so you all can see that process. What this does is you can see I can come in and kind of filter the ideas down that I want to look at. I'm going to go ahead and look at all my ideas from all statuses in this workspace. We'll go ahead and run this exploration. So what this is doing is analyzing the ideas to group them into themes. So it's looking at the idea titles, the descriptions to group things into those broader categories and pulling it together for you in this visual display. All right, so you can see we got a pretty good size list of themes over here. And so this allows us to kind of see the theme and then drill into the individual ideas within the theme to understand kind of what it consists of. So this can really help, again, to identify trends in the feedback that you're receiving. You can also come over here, you can rename the theme if there's a different way you want to talk about that challenge internally, or go to view all of those ideas in a list report, which is really nice to then kind of analyze them further and take action. Another piece that I just think is really valuable too about this is the option to color the dots by status. The reason I think this is really powerful is because it allows us to see not only, where are we getting ideas, but also where are we delivering ideas. So now all these green dots are work that has been shipped. So this can help me to identify parts of the product where, hey, we've gotten a lot of ideas around this theme, but we haven't shipped very much. Or maybe there's other places where we've shipped every idea that we've received. So this is also a nice way not only to, see incoming themes, but also analyze, the value that you've delivered over time. So I think that covers all the major capabilities I wanted to touch on today. I know that we've taken a look at a lot of goodness in the last 40 minutes or so. So I think I'm going to pass it back over to Rose to run us through some questions.
Yes, thank you so much, Riley and Kelly. That was wonderful. I think we have like a few minutes to go through some questions real quick. We've had a ton of great ones in the Q&A, so thank you, everyone. I'll tee this one up for Kelly first. Since you just touched on AI, Riley, someone is asking, how can I use AI to help manage and understand customer feedback? Anything on the horizon you want to talk about?
Yeah, definitely. So Riley did a fabulous job just showing how that AI exploration tool works. That's a really popular way to find those themes that sometimes when you have a large volume of feedback, it can be hard to, see the forest for the trees. And so this is a great way to do that. Also, there's a search bar at the top that helps you search for certain topics. So, strategically, you might have a certain topic or area you're looking at. And so doing that search will also light up the ideas that are related to that. And it's a really good place to start exploring as well. You can then link those ideas to a feature that you're considering in your backlog, and that'll show up on the features research tab. And then we have some goodness coming in the not too distant future too to help you summarize and analyze those ideas to make sure you're really understanding what customers are asking for.
Yes, we do. Very exciting. Great. Okay, and here's another really good question that might resonate with multiple people around struggling with the quality of ideas. So someone is saying, they're not getting enough information. What would be the best practice you'd recommend? Like enhance their idea submission template, have a collection of required information. What are your thoughts on this? I think either of you can take this one.
I'm happy to jump in. Sorry. So yeah, I think Riley did a good job again showing the dynamic submission form. I think that's a great way to do it. Make sure you're asking the questions you need to ask. If you're asking a lot of questions, people will kind of tune out. Make sure you're asking the important ones, but only show them with a dynamic form the questions that apply to them or the kind of idea they're submitting. Also, if you still get one of those ideas that don't have the information you need, we also have the ability to @mention user. So you can reply in a comment to the idea, say, hey, @so-and-so, can you tell me more about X or Y? And that mention will send them a specific email notification saying, hey, you were mentioned in this idea in the portal. And we have found that we get a really high response rate to those to help people really follow up and understand the details they need on those ideas.
Another
Great.
piece I would toss in, Kelly mentioned this earlier, but just to show you all a quick example, and this is a capability that's available to everybody, regardless of what plan you have. So I'm just opening up our Big Aha Ideas portal once more. You can see that we have a template embedded in the description field. So this is just a table that's been embedded into the description field, and that allows us to give more structure on what information we're asking for, but also still leaving it flexible. So it's giving, room for customers to provide the information that's most important, but it's also giving them a sense of what we need to know in order to move the idea forward. So that template you can configure associated to your idea workflow, and that will appear in this description field in the portal for all those ideas.
Thanks for bringing that up, Riley. We recently did that, and we are using it ourselves and finding it really valuable for the ideas that we get in from our customers as well.
Yeah, thanks so much. We hope you're all feeling inspired to launch an ideas portal to your customers and better equipped with the tools you need to manage their feedback more effectively. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kelly and Riley, and we'll see you next time. Bye.